Senator Nelson Aldrich, a 32nd degree Freemason. Sent his private railroad car to a station in New Jersey. And there it was in readiness for the arrival of himself and 6 other men who were told to come under condition. They were told to use first names only. A couple of men even adopted code names. They were afraid that the word would get out and possibly get into the press if people heard them using their real names as they were traveling together. Back in 1910, Jekyll Island was completely privately owned by a small group of millionaires from New York. There's a picture of Jekyll Island. Jekyll Island is a real island that's off the coast of Georgia. It was the island back in 1910 where the Federal Reserve was conspired into conception. People such as J.P. Morgan, William Rockefeller, and their associates were the Jekyll Island Club. Why the secrecy? When things are done in secret, there's usually something sinister going on. In this case, there was. Some attendees. J.P. Morgan, father-in-law of John D. Rockefeller, Jr. There's J.P. Morgan's picture, and John D. Rockefeller, Jr.'s picture also. J.P. Morgan was a member of the Illuminati. John D. Rockefeller was also connected to the Illuminati and the OTO. Abraham Pyatt Andrew, Assistant Secretary to the United States Treasury, also a member of the Trilateral Commission. And there's his picture. Frank A. Vanderlip, President of the National City Bank of New York, the most powerful of the banks at that time. And there's his picture. Henry P. Davison, Senior Partner of the J.P. Morgan Company. Charles D. Norton, President of J.P. Morgan's First National Bank. There's Henry Davison. Benjamin Strong, head of J.P. Morgan's Bank Trust Company, and Paul M. Warburg, a representative of the Rothschild banking dynasty in England and France, and brother to Max Warburg, who was the head of the Warburg Banking Consortium in Germany and the Netherlands. Once they arrived, they spent the next 9 days hammering out all the important details, which would eventually become the Federal Reserve. They then returned to New York in secrecy. The bill was proposed to the House and Congress, but had to be altered and rewritten. To ensure the proposal would be controlled by Congress and not privately run, the vote was taken just before Christmas recess and passed the House and the Congress. the unprecedented speed with which the Federal Reserve Act had been passed by Congress during what became known as the Christmas Massacre. A quote by Charles A. Lindbergh. The Federal Reserve Act establishes the most gigantic trust on earth. When President Woodrow Wilson signs this bill, the invisible government in the monetary power will be legalized, the worst legislative crime of the ages, perpetrated by this banking and currency bill. The Aldrich Plan is the Wall Street Plan. It means another panic, if necessary to intimidate people. The point here is that we've been lied to, and the lie has continued and will continue until somebody stands up and does something about it. In part 4, we're going to do something called In God We Trust.